Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Nahmaduhu wa nusalli ala rasulihil kareem.
بن زيد بن عباس قال ذكر رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم بنت حمزة وقال إنها ابنة أخي من الرضاعة. قال الشعبة هذا سمعه قتادة بن جابر بن زيد. وبه قال أخبرنا عبد الله بن صباح من عبد الله قال حدثنا محمد بن السواء قال حدث سعيد بن قتادة بن جابر بن زيد عن ابن عباس أن رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم أريد على بنت حمزة فقال, so he said, إنها ابنة أخي من الرضاعة وإنه يحرم من الرضاع ما يحرم من النسب. القدر الذي يحرم من الرضاعة. So the qadr, which means the amount which makes it haram from the radat. به قال أخبرنا هارون بن عبد الله قال حدثنا معن قال حدثنا مالك والحارث بن مسكين قراءة عليه وأنا أسمع ابن قاسم قال حدثني مالك بن عبد الله بن أبي بكر عن عمر عن عائشة قالت كان فيما أنزل الله عز وجل. وقال الحارث فيما أنزل الله من القرآن 10 رضاعات معلومات يحرمنا ثم نسخنا ب5 معلومات. Then they were abrogated with 5 known sucklings. Rasul passed away. وهي مما يقرأ من القرآن, and it is from that which was recited from the Quran. وبه قال أخبرنا عبد الله بن صباح من عبد الله قال حدثنا محمد بن سواء قال حدث سعيد بن قتادة وأيوب عن صالح أبي الخليل بن عبد الله بن حارث بن نوفل عن أم فضل أن نبي الله صلى الله عليه وسلم سئل عن الرضاع. The last name Sallallahu was asked regarding رضاعة فقال, he said, لا تحرم الإملاجة ولا الإملاجة. وقال قتادة المسة والمستان. وبه قال, okay, so we read this before, like 1 or 2 sucklings, like, and massa means suckings, yeah. Again, we read this before, I'm not going to repeat again about the Hanafi say mutlaqan drinking establishes the radat, yeah.
Imlaja means sucking as well.
Yeah. وبه قال, one is to, like, imlaja, you could say like squeezing, the mother squeezing the milk into the child's mouth, and massa is the child sucking. So there's a difference between the two. وبه قال أخبرنا شعيب بن يوسف يحيى هشام قال حدثنا بن عبد الله بن الزبير النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم قال لا تحرموا المسة والمستان. وبه قال أخبرنا زياد بن أيوب قال حدث ابن علي أيوب بن مليكة عبد الله بن الزبير عائشة قالت رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم لا تحرموا المسة والمستان. يزيد النخعي نسأله عن الرضاع, so we asked him about رضاعة فكتب, so he wrote أن شريح حدثنا أن عليا وابن مسعود كان يقولان يحرم من الرضاع قليله وكثيره, so he's little and it's large. وكان في كتابه أن أبا شعثاء المحاربي حدثنا أن عائشة حدثته أن نبي الله صلى الله عليه وسلم كان يقول لا تحرموا الخطفة والخطفتان. So which means the same thing, that khatfa means like 1 sucking and 2 suckings do not make it haram. وبه قال أخبرنا حناد بن سري في حديثنا بالأحوص عن أشعث بن أبي شعث نبي المسروق قال قالت عائشة دخل علي رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم وإندي رجل قاعد. Rasulullah صلى الله عليه وسلم entered upon me. With me was a man قاعد who was sitting. فاشتد ذلك عليه, so this was severe upon him. ورأيت الغضب في وجهه, so I saw the anger on his face. So I said, O Messenger of Allah, إنه أخي من الرضاعة, indeed he is my رضاعي brother. قال, so he said, انظرنا ما إخوانكن, so you look and ponder ما إخوانكن, who are their brothers. ومرة أخرى انظرنا من إخوانكن من الرضاعة فإن الرضاعة عن المجاعة, indeed رضاعة is from hunger. Next, لبن الفحل, the chapter regarding the milk of a male, translated as male, yeah. Now we read this before, milk of a male. What this chapter is about is telling us, do you know, when it comes to radat, the men are also included in the hurmat as well. So in other words, it's not just, oh, the mother breastfed, only she is like, only her, like she's haram. And now, even if a mother breastfed a girl, that radai mother's husband, i.e. the father, will become the radai father of that child as well. So we call this topic labne fahl, where I'm going to explain this in Abu Dawud Bukhari, I don't want to repeat again, where through rada'at the men are also included in the hurmat as well. وبه قال أخبرنا هارون بن عبد الله قال حدثنا معن قال حدثنا مالك بن عبد الله بن أبي بكر عن عمرة عن عائشة أخبرت أن رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم كان عندها وأنها سمعت رجلا يستأذن في بيت حفصة. Indeed, she heard a man seeking permission in the house of Hafsa. قال عائشة فقلت, I said, يا رسول الله هذا الرجل يستأذن في بيت. Read this before. Seeking permission in your house. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, Urahu fulan. I think so and so is the uncle of Hafsa from Rada'at. As Aisha bin Aha said, فقلت, I said, لو كان فلان حيا. If so and so was alive from a Radai uncle, دخل عليه, who entered upon me. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, إن الرضاعة تحرم ما يحرم من الولادة. Prohibits that which prohibits from the wiladat. وبه قال أخبرنا إسحاق بن إبراهيم قال أخبرنا عبد الرزاق قال أخبرنا ابن جريج قال أخبرنا أطان عروة عائشة أخبرته قالت جاء عمي أبو الجعد من الرضاعة فرددته, I returned him. قال وقال هشام هو أبو القعيس فجاء رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم فأخبرته فقال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم إذني له. Rasulullah came, I informed him. Rasulullah صلى الله عليه وسلم said إذني له, which means that give him permission. إذني له means give him permission. Again, most of these ahadith we read before you. به قال أخبرنا عبد الوارث بن عبد الصمد بن عبد الوارث قال حدثنا أبي عن أيوب عن وهب بن كيسان عروة عائشة أن أخا أبي الكعيس استأذن على عائشة بعد آية الحجاب فأبت أن تأذن له, so she refused that she gives him permission. So this was mentioned to Rasulullah صلى الله عليه وسلم فقال إذني له, which means that give him permission. فإنه عمك, indeed he is your cousin, uncle. فقلت, so I said, إنما أرضعتني المرأة ولم يرضعني الرجل. So indeed the woman breastfed me and a man did not feed me. Yeah. So as Aisha said that, oh, why is this man? Because obviously Prophet ﷺ said, Afla, he's your uncle, yeah, allow him, he's your radai uncle, allow him to come and see you. So as Aisha was questioning, well, no, why should the uncle come and see me? The rada'at was with the mother, not with the man. So Prophet ﷺ said, no, innahu ammuk, indeed he is your uncle, فليلج عليك, he should enter upon you. وبه قال أخبرنا هارون بن عبد الله أخبرنا معن قال حدثنا مالك ابن شهاب بن عروة عن عائشة قالت كان أفلح أخو أبي الكعيس يستأذن علي, who sought permission from me, وهو عمي من الرضاعة فأبيت أن آذن له, so I refused that I give him permission. حتى جاء رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم, until Rasulullah came. فأخبرت, I informed. Then he said إذن له, then indeed you give him permission. فإنه عمك, indeed he is your cousin brother. قال عائشة وذلك بعد أن نزل الحجاب, and that is after the hijab was revealed. وبه قال أخبرنا عبد الجبار بن علاء سفيان الزهري هشام بن عروة عن عائشة قالت استأذن علي عمي أفلح. So my uncle Afla sought permission from me بعد ما نزل الحجاب, after the hijab. فلم آذن له, and I did not give him permission. فأتاني النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم, so Rasulullah came to me. فسألته, I asked him. Rasulullah came to me, I asked him. فقال, he said, it's the same as this before, إذن له فإن عمه. قلت, I said, يا رسول إنما أرضعتني المرأة ولم يرضعني الرجل. قال إذني له تربت يمينك فإنه عمك. Indeed he is your cousin brother. So he is your uncle, sorry. وبه قال أخبرنا ربيع بن سليمان بن داود قال حدثنا أبو الأسود وإسحاق بن بكر قال حدثنا بكر بن مضر عن جعفر بن ربيع عراق بن مالك وعن عائشة قالت جاء أفلح أخو أبي الكعيس يستأذن فقلت so I said لا آذن له I did not give him permission حتى أستأذن نبي الله صلى الله عليه وسلم فلما جاء نبي الله صلى الله عليه وسلم قلت له I said to him جاء أفلح أخو أبي الكعيس يستأذن فأبيت أن آذن له so I refused that I give him permission فقال إذن له فإنه عمك فقلت إنما أرضعتني امرأة أبي الكعيس so أبي الكعيس his wife breastfed me so why is his brother automatically become my uncle and he's allowed to come to me ولم يرضعني الرجل قال إذن له فإنه عمك. Next topic, Babu Radah al-Kabir, we read it before. A mature person. Radat of a mature person. If you understand? So what that means is that Radat is only established for when you breastfeed a child 2 years, 2.5 years. It has to be within that. 2.5 years in the Hanafi Madhab. I must say 2 years. Anything above that, if you breastfeed, Radat will not be established. If you understand? So anything above that, radat will not be established. So that's the meaning of this, inshallah. وبه قال أخبرنا يونس بن عبد الله قال حدثني ابن وهب أخبرني مخرمة بن بكير نبيه. And there are some ahadith like the one we're going to look at now of Salim, freed slave of Abu Huzaifa, where Prophet ﷺ said that Radah al-Kabir can establish hurmat al-Radat. So the simple answer which we give is that yes, this is correct, but we say that this is only khas for him. This is not like a general rule. It was only khas for him. So you can't apply this in other situations, unfortunately. So let's have a look at that. This will be he. قال أخبرنا يونس بن عبد الله قال حدثنا ابن وهب قال مخرمة بن بكير عن أبيه قال سمعت حميد بن نافع يقول سمعت زينب بنت أبي سلمة تقول سمعت عائشة زوج النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم تقول جاءت سهلة بنت سهيل إلى رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم وقال يا رسول الله إني لا أرى في وجه أبي حذيفة من دخول سالم علي. He said that, look, I've seen on the face of Abu Huzaifa with Salim entering upon him. Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said, أرضعيه. قلت عسى إنه لذو لحية. فقال أرضعيه يذهب ما في وجه أبي Huzaifa. قالت. So he said, Wallahi by Allah, I did not recognize it on the face of Abu Huzaifa thereafter. Basically, Salim was his freed slave. Now remember, then afterwards Abu Huzaifa then adopted him. But remember, with adopted children, even now as well, this is the same issue, is that after they mature, you have to have what? You have to have the rules of Pardani. So it becomes a bit awkward, and like if it's like a boy. So mothers looked after, the foster mother's been looking after it. But the moment he matures, that's it, Pardani. You have to do Parda. So due to that reason, it became a bit awkward for Abu Huzaifa, the husband, that he's coming and he's seeing, he's coming to see Sahla was the wife's name, and then he felt very, very uncomfortable and so on. So Prophet ﷺ said, look, this is what you do. You breastfeed, and he says that by breastfeeding, then what's going to happen is inshallah there'll be hurmat al-Radat established, and you won't basically see him. Does that make sense? So he will be able to enter and you've got nothing to worry about. Are you following so far?
What do you mean the man breastfeeds?
No, the woman, like Sahla breastfeeds Salim. Okay. So obviously, so that's how he's. Now obviously, don't get me wrong, it wasn't like direct breastfeeding because that would be haram. Obviously, it could be other things like the milk was poured out to a cup and then he drank it afterwards. So obviously, few possibilities in G. Second. G. Okay, let's look at the next one. أخبرنا عبد الله بن محمد بن عبد الرحمن قال حدث سفيان قال سمعناه من عبد الرحمن ابن قاسم بن أبي عائشة قالت جاءت سحلة بنت السهيل إلى رسول الله فقال إني أرى في وجه أبي حذيفة من دخول سالم علي قال فأرضعيه قالت وكيف أرضعه وهو رجل كبير. So how should I breastfeed him whilst he is an old man? فقال said ألست أعلم أنه رجل كبير. Aren't I not knowledgeable? So do I not know that indeed he is an old man? So Prophet suggested this to Sahla that breastfeed him. She said, oh, how can I breastfeed him? Because he's an old man. She said, Alastu a'lam. Do I not know? So Prophet said, well, do I not know that he's an old man? Thumma ja'at ba'du. Then he came thereafter and she said, Walladhi ba'athaka bilhaq. So by the one who has sent you with the haqq, with the truth. As a Nabi, ma ra'aytu fi wajhi Huzayfa ba'du shay'an akrahuhu, which I dislike. And then after I did that, and then obviously he now became my radai son in a way. So there was no like hidden feelings between me and them. وبه قال أخبرنا حميد بن سعد عن سفيان وهو ابن حبيب بن جريج المليك عن قاسم بن محمد عن عائشة قالت جاءت سحلة إلى رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم فقال يا رسول الله إن سالما يدخل علينا. Indeed Salim entered upon us. وقد عقل ما يعقل الرجال. And indeed understood ما يعقل الرجال, that which the man understands. So indeed understood that which the man understands. قال, meaning like he's now mature, that he's now understanding like what a mature person will understand. قال Prophet صلى الله عليه وسلم أرضعيه تحرمي عليه بذلك. You will become haram upon him because of it. فمكثت حولا, I remained for a year. لا أحدث به, I did not speak about it. And I met Qasim, قال حدث به ولا تحابه, and do not fear regarding this hadith. What does that mean? Makastu here means the narrator of the hadith, Ibn Abi Mulaika. So he said, when I heard this hadith, I didn't want to speak about this hadith to anyone for a year. Why? Why do you want to speak? Because obviously a bit too, zahid, and it looks a bit uncomfortable, and like people will think, huh? Well, like a grown woman breastfed a man. Obviously people won't look at it in that way, like people will think, no, they'll be like, you're just a grown woman just breastfeeding a grown man. But it's not meant in that particular way. What Prophet ﷺ instructed was that so that's why he said that I met Qasim and I said, oh, shall I narrate this hadith, yes or no? And then afterwards, and Qasim said, yes, you should narrate it. Only then he kind of like narrated the hadith there afterwards. Yeah. Okay, let's look at the next hadith.
This child was just saying that basically, although he was adopted at maybe like a late age. So the mother didn't breastfeed him while they were young.
Yeah.
So when he got older, obviously, when he was older.
Yeah, that's right. وبه قال أخبرنا عمرو بن علي أن عبد الوهاب قال حدثنا أيوب بن مليكة قاسم بن عائشة أن سالم مولى بحذيفة كان بحذيفة وأهله في بيته. Same as he said before. The daughter of Suhail came to Rasulullah. She said, "Inna Saliman qad balagha ma yablughu ar-rijal." So indeed, Salim indeed reached, matured that which a man matures. وَأَقَلَ مَا أَقَلُوهُ وَإِنَّهُ يَدْخُلُ عَلَيْنَا. Indeed, he enters upon us. وَإِنِّي أَظُنُّ فِي نَفْسِي بِحُذَيْفَ مِنْ ذَلِكَ شَيْئًا. And indeed, I thought in the heart, or I thought in the heart of Abu Huzaifa, from it to be something. So Prophet ﷺ said, أرضعيه تحرمي عليه فأرضعته فذهب الذي في نفس أبي حذيفة. So he went that which is in the heart of Abu Huzaifa عنه. فرجعت إليه, so I returned to him. فقلت, I said, إني قد أرضعته. Indeed, I breastfed him. فذهب الذي في نفس أبي حذيفة. So that which was in the heart of Abu Huzaifa عنه went away. به قال أخبر يونس بن عبد الله قال أخبرني وهب قال أخبر يونس ومالك بن شهاب بن عروة قال أبا سائل أزواج النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم أن يدخل عليهن بتلك الرضعة أحد من الناس. That the rest of the wives of Prophet refused, Abami refused, that someone enters upon them through this rada'at from the people, i.e. rada'atul kabir. Read this before in Abu Dawud. So basically, as Aisha, she used to act upon this and this. So what she used to do is that if anybody wanted to come and see her, she would act upon this hadith of rada'atul kabir, and then they would be able to see her without parda. That's why you hear a lot of hadith of as Aisha like teaching the man, telling tabi'ins, teaching tabi'ins to come and see her. Does that make sense? It's based on this usul. Whereas for the other wives of Prophet ﷺ, they were really strict. No. We don't accept the hadith of rada'atul kabir whatsoever. Are you following? So this is what he did. Are you following Islam here? So it's just it's a short opinion. Jamhur quite clearly say that he's not allowed here because it's only up to 2.5 years of rada'at. As Aisha, she had her opinion. Other Sahabas had their own Shah's opinion. It's all I mentioned that quite in Abu Dawud. Look at Abu Dawud notes who says what and so on. وقلنا لعائشة, they said to Aisha, والله بالله ما نرى الذي أمر رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم سهلة بنت سهيل إلا رخصة في رضاعة سالم وحده. Said, look, what happened with Sahla, that was just like rukhsa, a concession regarding the rada'at of Salim only from Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Wallahi, by Allah, la yadkhulu alayna ahadun. No one can enter upon us through this rada'at, wala yarana, and he did not see us. وبه قال, no, he can see us. وبه قال أخبرنا عبد الملك بن شعيب بن ليث قال أخبرني أبي جدي قال حديث الأوقين بن شهاب أخبرني أبو عبيدة بن عبد الله بن زمعة أن أم حسين بنت أبي سلمة أخبرته أن أمها أم سلمة زوج النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم كانت تقول سيما before أبا سائل أزواج النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم أن يدخل عليهن بتلك الرضاعة. وقلنا لعائشة, they said to us Aisha then, والله by Allah ما نرى هذه إلا رخصة. We do not consider this except concession. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam has given a concession specifically for Salim. فلا يدخل علينا أحد. No one will enter upon us through this rada'at. ولا يرانا, and he would not see us. Next topic is al-ghila. Ghila, yeah. So what does ghila mean? Ghila means two meanings. One is when the woman is breastfeeding. So during the 2.5 years, 2 years she's breastfeeding, to have relations during that period. That's one meaning of ghila. And the second meaning of ghila is to have relations with your wife while she's pregnant. To have relation with your wife while she's pregnant. We call that ghila. Okay. Any question? Obviously, this was like a superstitious belief. It started from the Jews, that they used to say that, if anybody does ghila with their wives, then if a child is born, then that child is born like weak. that child is born weak. So that's what it means by ghila. And that they could easily get knocked off from the horse. And Prophet noticed the Persian and the Romans doing this. Yeah, Persian, Romans doing, and then he noticed that nothing happened to them. Nothing happened to them. So then he ignored those superstitious beliefs and he kind of like carried on as normal. It's like, take example with the vaccines at the moment. So you could apply the same rule now. Obviously, I'm sure a lot of people, they say, oh no, don't take the vaccine, they're injecting this, they're injecting that, don't take it, haram, this and that. So, okay, fair enough, you're taking that point of view, so you're refraining from the vaccine. But then you're seeing the whole world taking it, and nothing's happened to them. Obviously, some may get blood clots and other stuff. I'm saying the majority are taking it. And the majority, obviously, you're always going to get 1 or 2 cases everywhere. Yeah, but the majority are taking it, and there's nothing wrong with it. So then you should take it. Then there's the same thing with ghila. So I think we could apply the ghila topic to a lot of these you could say rumors like kila qal. It's not just about vaccine. I know vaccine is a hot topic, but other things in it like this is going to happen. But then you see the whole world doing and nothing's happened to them. Then you just go according to normal. Does that make sense? So obviously there will be the rare cases where yes, what people are telling you, and remember, it has to be something which is established from what people are telling you. If it's established from the Quran Sunnah, then obviously you have to act upon. But if it's not established from the Quran Sunnah, just like kila wa qal, tajruba things, experience things, when people say, yeah, don't do this, it's not good and so on. But you see a lot of people doing it and no problems for them. Obviously there will be some isolated cases, but no problems in the main. Then you shouldn't basically do it. So you shouldn't stop it. So a lot of things, even like marriage as well. Sometimes people say, oh, don't marry your cousins. A lot of people say that, especially if there's more, people say more chances of disabled children or something, genes, something like that. Obviously a lot of people do marry their cousins and we don't see anything wrong with their children. Obviously there will be cases, I'm not saying Emila but generally speaking, or majority of the time, there's not. Because disabled children can also happen from people where they don't know each other. They got married and they have a autistic child, this child, that child. So these are ghila, rumors. Don't always fall for it. Obviously there will be cases, but don't just base your principle on those isolated cases. So with regards to the vaccine and so on, what you notice is that they get these random, WhatsApp messages, and they use that as the base of their argument. Didn't you see that, I'll send you the link and so on. But these links are from random people. They're not even proper. Not verified. They're not really doctors. And
don't verse for me because verify everything you see.
Yeah, that's just so that's what it is. Anyway, so khair. كان أبن عبيد الله إسحاق بن منصور عبد الرحمن مالك نبي الأسود عروة عائشة أن جذام بنت وهب حدثتها أن رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم لقد حممت أن أنحى عن الغيلة حتى ذكرت أن فارس والروم يصنع وقال إسحاق يصنعوه فلا يضر أولادهم. Next باب العزل, chapter regarding عزل. وبه قال أخبرني إسماعيل بن مسروق خبيب بن مسعدة قال حدث يزيد بن زري قال حدثني ابن عون عن محمد بن سيرين عبد الرحمن بن بشر بن مسعود ورد الحديث حتى رده إلى أبي سعيد الخدري قال ذكر ذلك عند رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم قال وما ذاكم. What is that? قلنا, we said الرجل تكون هو المرأة, the man for him is a wife, فيصيبها ويكره الحملة, and he dislikes the حمل, وتكون له الأمة, and for him is a slave girl, فيصيب منها ويكره أن تحمل منه, and dislike that she falls pregnant. This is the azl, so in the contraception we read before, yeah. So he said, لا عليكم ألا تفعلوا. So it is not for you that you do. فإنما هو القدر. Meaning that if it's meant to be, there will be a child, won't it? مستقبل. وبه قال أخبرنا محمد بشار قال حدثنا محمد قال حدثنا شعبة أنا بالفيد قال سمعت عبد الله بن مرة الزرقي النبي سعيد الزرقي أن رجلا سالما سأل رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم فقال إن امرأتي ترضع, she's breastfeeding, and I dislike that she falls pregnant. Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, إنما قد قدر في الرحم سيكون, whatever is decreed, whatever is meant to happen in the womb, if she like to fall pregnant, soon it will happen. Next, حق الرضاعة وحرمته, the right of rada'at and its prohibition. In other words, what this topic is telling us is, like, do you know when you breastfeed? So remember, breastfeeding by a breastfeeding woman, a radha'i mother, it's like a responsibility. Because remember, most of the time, it's not the mother who would breastfeed, it would be like outside people who would breastfeed. So it's like a zimmedar, it's like a responsibility to a certain extent. So he goes on to explain. So he said that, do you know the woman who's breastfeeding, then to give them like a haqq and a right. Yeah, to give them like a haqq or a right. In order to give them a gift. Because that breastfeeding woman, she like done so much effort, hasn't she? So it says that, you know, like they've done an effort, so you to give them a gift. And the gift is that you give them a ghurra for breastfeeding. And ghurra is the value of a slave and a slave girl. وبه قال أخبرنا يعقوب بن إبراهيم قال حدثني يحيى عن هشام حدثني أبي عن حجاج بن حج النبي قال قلت, I said, O Messenger of Allah, ما يذهب عني مذمة الرضا. قال غرة عبد أو أمة, غرة of a slave or a slave girl. وبه قال أخبرنا علي. Okay, next up, الشهادة في الرضا. This is like when you have a situation where a woman is saying, oh, I breastfed this boy and girl, so they can't marry each other. So what do you do in that situation in Islam? So in the Hanafi method, we say that nisab shahadat is shart, 2 men or 1 man or 2 women. Again, aqwals we mentioned before. We read this in Bukhari quite a number of places. وبه قال أخبرنا علي بن حجر قال أخبرني إسماعيل بن أيوب بن مليكة قال حدثني عبيد بن أبي مريم من عقبة بن حارث قال وقد سمعته من عقبة ولكن لحديث عبيد أحفظ قال تزوجت امرأة, I married a woman, فجاءتنا امرأة سوداء. So a dark woman came to us. She said, إني قد أرضعتكما, indeed I breastfed you two. So I came to Rasulullah فأخبرته, I informed me. فقلت, so I said, إني تزوجت فلانة بنت فلان. فجاءتني امرأة سوداء فقال إني قد أرضعتكما فأعرض عني. So he turned away from فأتيته من قبل وجهه. So I came to him from his side. So I said إنها كاذبة. قال وكيف بها وقد زعمت أنها قد أرضعتكما, then she breastfed you too. So دعها عنك, then you leave her from me. Next, نكاح ما نكح الآباء, marrying ما نكح الآباء, the marriage, the mankuha of your fathers. In other words, marrying your stepmothers. That's what they're trying to say, isn't it? So everybody knows it's haram, isn't it? وبه قال أخبرنا أحمد بن عثمان بن حكيم قال حدثنا أبو نعيم قال حدثنا حسن بن صالح بن سد عن علي بن ثابت براء قال لقيت خالي ومعه, I saw my maternal uncle, with him was a flag. معه الراية means that with him was a flag. And So with him was a flag. فقلت, I said, أين تريد? Where are you intending? قال أرسل رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم إلى رجل تزوج امرأة أبيه, who married the wife of his father من بعد afterwards, and أضرب عنقه, that I strike his neck, أو أقتله or I kill him. وبه قال أخبرنا عمرو بن منصور قال حدثنا عبد الله بن جعفر قال حدثنا عبيد الله بن عمرو بن زيد عن عدي بن ثابت عن يزيد بن براء عن أبيه قال أصبت عمي ومعه راية فقلت أين تريد؟ فقال بعثني رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم إلى رجل نكح امرأة أبيه فأمرني أن أضرب عنقه وآخذ ماله. So I take away his wealth. Next, تعويل قول الله عز وجل والمحصنات من النساء إلا ما ملكت أيمانكم. So just telling us those women who you're not allowed to marry. So you're not allowed to marry somebody else's wife. به قال أخبر محمد بن عبد الأعلى قال حدثني يزيد بن زريع قال حدثنا سعيد بن قتادة عن أبي الخليل عن أبي علقمة الحاشمي عن أبي سعيد الخدري أن نبي الله صلى الله عليه وسلم بعث جيشا إلى أوطاس. He sent an army towards the people of Autas. فلقوا عدوا. They met the enemy. فقاتلوهم. They killed them. وظهروا عليهم. They overpowered them. ظهروا عليهم means they overpowered them. وأصابوا لهم سبايا. So they received for them sabaya, which means like prisoners. For them were husbands from the mushrikeen. Remember, so Battle Autas, they received some prisoners. For them were husbands from the mushrikeen. فكان مسلمون. So he said that Muslims تحرجوا في من غشيانهن, felt uncomfortable in having relation with them or coming near to them. فأنزل الله عز وجل والمحصنات من النساء إلا ما ملكت أيمانكم أي هذا لكم حلال إذا انقضت عدتهن. That after you do istibra with them, which means alhamdulillah, they observe the 3, well, istibra means 1 menstruation cycle for slave girls. After they observe that, then you would be allowed to marry them. Next one, Babu Shighar. What does Shighar mean? Read this in Bukhari. Is you're getting married to somebody's daughter on the condition that he marries your daughter. You're getting married to somebody's sister on the condition that he marries your sister, and there's no dowry in between. You call that shighar. وبه قال أخبرنا عبيد الله بن سعيد قال يحيى بن عبيد الله قال أخبرنا نافع بن عمر أن رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم نهى عن الشغار. وبه قال حدثه حميد بن مسعود قال حدث بشر قال حدثه حميد بن حسن عمران بن حسين أن رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم قال لا جلب ولا جنب. Again, read this before. La jalab wa la janab. I'm not going to explain that again. You could take the meaning of zakat and also of horse racing. That not to have the horse alongside you when you're doing the race. Wala shighara fil Islam. There's no shighar in Islam. Which I'll just explain now. Waman intahaba nuhba. And the one who looted, like, plundered, took away people's wealth, mugged, is another way of saying it. Falaysa minna. Then he is not from us. وبه قال أخبرنا علي بن محمد بن علي قال محمد بن كثير بن الفزاري عن حميد عن أنس قال قال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم لا جلب ولا جنب ولا شغار في الإسلام. قال أبو عبد الرحمن هذا خطأ فاحش. This is explicit error. والصواب حديث بشر. تفسير الشغار, then explain what is meant by shighar. So let's look at the text. به قال أخبرنا حارم بن عبد الله قال حدث معن قال حدث مالك النافع والحارث بن مسكين قراءة عليه. وأنا أسمع من قاسم قال مالك حدث النافع بن عمر أن الرسول نهى عن الشغار والشغار أن يزوجها الرجل ابنته على أن يزوجها ابنته. He said marries his daughter وليس بينهما صداق. وبه قال أخبرنا محمد بن إبراهيم عبد الرحمن بن محمد بن سلام قال حدثنا إسحاق الأزرق عن عبيد الله بن أبي زناد عن عرج النبي هريرة قال نهى رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم عن الشغار قال عبيد الله والشغار كان يزوج الرجل ابنته على أن يزوجه أخته. باب التزويج. باب التزويج على سور من القرآن. The chapter regarding marrying someone and the dowry is some surahs of the Quran. That's like the dowry, some surahs of the Quran. So we read that Imrat Mawhuba. So she gifted herself to Rasul. Rasul didn't accept her. So what happened was that Prophet ﷺ then said that, okay, married her to another Sahabi who didn't have any wealth with him, except if you remember a few surahs of the Quran. وبه قال أخبر قتيبة قال حدثني يعقوب بن أبي حازم سهل بن سعد أن امرأة جاءت رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم وقال يا رسول الله جئت لأهب نفسي لك. That I came so that I gifted myself to you. فنظر إليها رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم. So رسول الله looked towards her. وصعد النظر إليها وصوبه ثم طأطأ رأسه. فلما رأت المرأة أنه لم يقضي فيها شيء. That when the woman sees that indeed nothing was fulfilled in it, جلست, she sat. فقام رجل من أصحابه. So a man stood from his companion and said, أي رسول الله إن لم يكن لها بها حاجة. If there is not for her any hajat or need, فزوجنيها, then you marry me to her. قال, so he said, هل عندك من شيء؟ فقال لا والله ما وجدت شيء. فقال انظر ولو خاتم من حديد. فذهب ثم رجع فقال لا والله يا رسول الله ولا خاتم من حديد ولكن هذا إزاري. قال سحل ما له رداء فلها نصف. فقال رسول الله ما تصنع بإزارك. What are you going to do with your izar? If you wear it, then upon her from it will be nothing. And if she wore it, then upon you would be nothing. Again, we read this so much, I'm not going to really explain this again word for word. So the man sat حتى طال مجلسه ثم قام فرآه رسول الله موليا. And Prophet saw him موليا, that he turned away. فأمر به فدعي. فلما جاء, so when he came, so he said, ماذا معك من القرآن? What is with you from the Quran? So he said, with me is such as a surah, such a surah. عددها, he counted it. فقال, then he said, هل تقرأهن عن ظهر قلب, meaning like, can you remember it by heart? These surahs, can you remember it by heart? He said, yes. Then he said, ملكتكها, that I marry you to her with that which is with you from the Quran. Next, تزويج الإسلام, married upon Islam. وبه قال أخبرنا قتيبة قال عبد محمد موسى عبد الله بن طلحة عن أنس قال تزوج أبو طلحة أم سليم فكان الصداق ما بينهما الإسلام. So he said, Abu Talha married Sulaim. And the dowry between them two was Islam. So you know what does that mean, dowry between Islam? Look at the next one. Sulaim accepted Islam before Abu Talha. So Abu Talha then proposed to her, and she said, look, indeed I've converted to Islam. فَإِنْ أَسْلَمْتَ, so if you convert to Islam, I will marry you. He converted to Islam. فَكَانَ الصَّدَاقَ مَا بَيْنَهُمَا, then the dowry was between them two. Obviously, from here we could derive the topic of